Hello and welcome to yet another edition of Globewatch, your weekly international current affairs program from the Cameroon Radio Television with me, Charles Obni, from the Hilton Hotel here in Yaoundé. At least 820 million people are suffering from hunger in the world. Those are the latest statistics from the World Food Program, which is, of course, a Nobel Peace Prize laureate of the committee. Over the years, it has been assisting communities in providing food security, fighting health issues, and ensuring there is equitable water, potable one in that matter, for all the communities. So just how far are its humanitarian activities affecting the world? My guest today on Globewatch is one of the key players of the humanitarian movement and a special advisor of the World Food Program. Princess, Your Royal Highness Princess Zara Zeid Butler, welcome to Globewatch.
Thank you very much for having me.
At least 14 million women and children suffer from hunger out of the 820 million I indicated in my introduction. For an advocate of health issues and child nutrition, that should be a worrisome figure, right?
It's a horrible figure. Any woman, any child, any man, any boy who is suffering from preventable hunger, from preventable malnutrition, is dying needlessly. Anyone is a tragedy, and it should not be allowed.
And how are you working as the special advisor of the World Food Program, which is, of course, the largest humanitarian network of the UN system in the world in reducing all of that?
It is the largest humanitarian organization. And what makes it especially special is that its outreach to the communities most in need, the ability to fully understand the needs of a community. Because after all, if you're talking about someone's nutrition, if you're talking about someone's well-being and their health, it's not a remote issue that you can solve. You have to actually be part of a community. You have to meet the person. I need to know how many children you have. Do you have access to land? Do you have a job? How many children did you start having when you were 14? It is the entire picture that we need to know about the individual, and so you have to be out where the World Food Program is, and you have to be a permanent part of building a community's knowledge, of working together with local authorities to ensure that solutions are sustainable, that products are locally produced, and then hopefully one day WFP will pull out.
You founded and you led the movement Every Child Everywhere, and you can go on with that description. When you hear that 700 children die every day globally because of malnutrition, lack of potable water, health issues, how do you feel?
Again, terrible. These are preventable injustices. These are preventable losses that that shame us all, frankly. What do I do with the World Food Program? I do anything that I can, and that is an actual fact what each and every one of us need to be doing. Whatever it is that is our sphere of influence or way that we can try and make a contribution, that is what we're going to have to be doing, especially right now. Right now, the world is in turmoil. We are on fire. The COP starts in Egypt this weekend. Do you really think that we're going to come out with decisions and declarations and then action that are going to prevent the flooding that's taking place in the north and in Nigeria? For climate change, we've already passed the tipping point. And we have Ukraine, and we have Afghanistan, and we have these endless issues that are not going to go away, and the shocks that we are all facing are going to become harder and faster, and always it is the most vulnerable that are going to suffer the most, and always that is women and children.
I'm glad that you mentioned two of the world's current biting issues, the climate discourse, beginning this Sunday in the Egyptian city of Sharm el-Sheikh, like you indicated, and on the other end, the war in Ukraine. Ukraine being the largest grain supplier for the World Food Program. As a special advisor of the World Food Program, which is a Nobel laureate for peace, how do you channel your message to governments that this war needs to come to an end, because it has the potential of increasing the number of people who are suffering from hunger and disturbing the channel of food supply and distribution, which of course was already rendered difficult by COVID-19 because of the numerous blockages which were imposed.
Absolutely. Fortunately, I think that the leaders of the world have got the message. They are being told often that we must find peace, that this is unacceptable. Not only that, but global governments are feeling the pressure. They are feeling the squeeze from their populations, who are suffering and worrying about fuel costs and the increasing prices of of foodstuffs all over the world. So they are getting that message. The question is, what are they going to do about it? The same goes with the environment. It's not enough to restate the narrative. It's not enough to say, you know, we're committed to peace and goodwill and fuzzy little bunny rabbits. We have to do something, and that's the real question. Governments must act, and there are situations and issues that are so global and so great. It's not you and I that can change things, it's governments that can change things, and they have to be willing to make themselves very unpopular, frankly, with much of their population by taking some really hard decisions with regards to climate change.
In a moment, we'll talk about your humanitarian work, but first, you are found in Cameroon now. Why are you visiting Cameroon now? For almost a week.
It is almost a week, and it's been a fantastic week. I was asked by my colleagues at the World Food Program to come to learn about the work that's happening, why it is this particular office is such a gender trailblazer in its policies and approach, and to do my very best to support that work and to raise awareness.
You had several meetings with Cameroonian government agencies and those of the private sector. The last most stirring one being your encounter with the Cameroonian First Lady, Chantal Biya, at the Unity Palace. I understand that gender issues are so dear to you as a live wire. Tell me some of the things you saw that gender is being mainstreamed in Cameroon. One of the very unique things about many of the meetings, including with the Prime Minister, was what gender champions you have in government. There's been real progress in very recent years to ensure that gender is a consideration in budgets, in programming, and in understanding why we have to put women and girls at the center of everything that we do. We also met with two extraordinary women ministers, the Minister for Women's Affairs and the Minister for Social Affairs.
Social Affairs, thank you very much. And I felt, I was really touched by our meeting, actually, with both of them. You know, the Ministry of Women, because it felt like a homecoming, but Social Affairs because they, I think, have the hardest job. They are focusing, just like WFP, on the most vulnerable individuals left furthest behind, on the nutrition of street children, on the disabled, on the individuals who have never had a chance, and to try to focus attention on their needs, on their plight, and to work together to support them.
Top executives like you are always accused of maybe ending only in political capitals or economic capitals when you visit, but you went right to the backyard of Cameroon in the far north region to meet the ordinary people, children, women, the sick, the poor, and
it's where I'm happiest.
That should be one of your most happiest moments in Cameroon. How was the experience in the far north of the country? What did you see? How did that help you understand the challenges and how the WFP can inject more of its resources to ordinary vulnerable communities?
Again, it's not just what WFP can do, it's what all of us can do. We all have a responsibility, we all have a role to play. So the good, wonderful, happy moment was visiting a school in the far north where there were 410 students, bright-eyed, sitting behind their desks, a bilingual school, and their French was probably better than mine. Some of them were really quite small, and I opened the textbooks, and I was already lost. It was quite humiliating, but the children, were magnificent. And the wonderful thing about that experience was hearing from the headmaster that before the introduction of a school feeding program, where the children are given one meal a day, they are given lunch at school, that attendance at the school was just over 50%. Now that the children are being given lunch once a day, it's over 90%. And if we can keep children in school, we keep girls in school. And you see the ripple effect for every year that a girl is kept in school. And so that was wonderful. Of course, one of the problems then is that the more children you have coming, the more squeeze you have on the capacity. And so there were way too many children per teacher. There were not enough toilets for all of those children, and the classrooms need to be expanded. This is why I say that we all have our part to play.
The World Food Programme runs one of the most unique food banks initiatives in the world of providing food, warehouses where food is kept, especially for children. Tell me that experience. How does it operate?
Oh, that is something that starts. You would need to talk to a proper supply logistics person for that, because everything now is done with barcodes, computerized, blockchain technology to track what comes in, to ensure its quality, to pre-position goods so that when the floods come or the drought comes or the roads get blocked off, whatever it is, I suppose in Afghanistan it would be the snow, that food stuffs what you know a population
from Kandahar, from Kabul,
exactly,
from all those areas,
that it's already there. And one of the fascinating things about that is the thinking, the planning that has to go in of where you're going to find your foodstuffs, how you're going to get them to where you need them to be, and then how do you keep identifying who your most vulnerable targets are. And one of the things that I know, because of all of the traveling that I have done with WFP, and because I ask way too many questions, is how carefully that tracking and monitoring takes place.
In a moment, this interview will be coming to an end, but let's talk you. You have a passion for humanitarian work, and that cuts across the World Food Programme, the UN Refugee Agency, personal initiatives. Why are you so passionate about doing humanitarian work for the world?
It's not so much the humanitarian work per se. It is the work done with the women and girls and children that are largely forgotten. I think that one of our responsibilities is to seek the missing. that if we go to a food distribution center, who have we missed? Who has been left behind? I was in Tana River, Kenya, recently, and where they've had 2 years of drought, and they're looking at the drought continuing, and speaking with a mother of 5 children. Every day for her is about survival and ensuring that her children survive. And I would say that a mother like that, who, like every other woman in the world, be it grandmother, auntie, or mother, only wants the best for their children. They want their children to be well nourished, to be healthy, to have access to education and to nutrition, to health, to opportunity. They want to be able to provide for their families. And I don't think if you're spending your entire day hunting for water and having to leave your 5 children, your 5 young children behind, that you have been given any of those opportunities. And that, I think, is where some of our most important work is both done and is needed.
The world has so many problems. Which are the causes that are key to you as somebody of the humanitarian movement, as a social worker, as a goodwill ambassador? You told the press after the meeting with the First Lady that you have shared values, violence against women or whatsoever.
I think for me it's anything that holds a woman back. We've just met with the private sector, for example, and one of my asks to the private sector was that they hold a campaign to encourage parents to register their children at birth. Because in Cameroon, if you are not registered at birth, you cannot own land, you cannot have a bank account, you cannot access credit, you can't take national exams. And so if parents register their children, at the very least, the door to opportunity. You are part of the identity movement. You want people to be identified.
I
want people to be able to access services.
Absolutely.
Can you imagine if your parents hadn't registered you at birth, but you had access to education, but then you couldn't take your national exams? That was the end. You couldn't have a bank account.
Sure.
That's the end. If parents register their children, it's a beginning.
Tell me some of your other activities. I know that at one moment you were in Rwanda, Jordan, the United States. These are countries which are very key to your heart because of your biological and other activities that the press knows so well. As you move around the world, seeing situations, evaluating, discussing with people, which has been the most humbling experience you have ever had? Being at the 1994 Genocide Museum in Rwanda? Myself, I've been there.
No, do you know the thing that I find really humbling is on a professional side, the faith that my colleagues have in me to try and support their work, and then the humbling experiences that I have are often in those furthest away places, sitting with women who are willing to share with me their stories and their suffering. Just yesterday, it was a shared complaint about getting up from the floor and all of us having creaky knees, and we laughed together. Just these little human moments that are shared between women actually just move me.
One but last question. What message do you have to the World Food Programme community, family in Cameroon?
Oh, keep doing what you're doing. I think that, again, especially because...
Headed by a woman like yourself.
Absolutely, and a force of nature. The external shocks that are barreling down on us mean that we have to work with great urgency. And I hope that some of the doors that we have opened, the conversations that we have had, whether it be with yourself, with the private sector, with government ministries, with other UN partners and the donor community, that we have set in process actions that the World Food Programme is now going to seize and run with, because that is how we are going to achieve impact.
The last question is a question I asked most women I receive, and I put this question to the Secretary General of the Commonwealth, who is equally a model like yourself. She is heading an association of plus 2.5 billion people.
Yeah, that's certainly not me.
Absolutely.
It's just me and
not you. But the question is this: when Princess Zara Zeid Butler sleeps, what worries her most before going to bed? When you look, when they put the map of the world and you see all what is going on before you sleep, what worries you most?
Do you know, again, I am like every other mother in the world, and my last thoughts are going to be about my children. You know, I'll tuck someone in, I'll kiss someone else, I'll send a message to another one who's far away, and because if my children are safe and taken care of, then I can get on and
take care of others
and focus my attention on using whatever it is that I can bring to the table to support other people to do good work.
And with that, we end the interview. The Special Advisor of the World Food Programme, Princess Zara Zeid Butler, thank you very much indeed for being guest on the Cameroon Radio Television. I am afraid we are not going to have a handshake because the COVID-19 restrictions on greetings are still on.
Thank you so much.
You are welcome.
Je suis très content d'être ici au Cameroun pour l'ouverture du CHAN. C'est le premier tournoi international de l'année, d'une année 2021 qu'on souhaite être meilleure que l'année 2020, après tout ce qu'on a passé, évidemment avec le Covid. Revenir au football, revenir dans un stade où il y avait des spectateurs, évidemment c'était pas plein, c'est pas possible pour des raisons de santé en ce moment, mais quand même il y avait 25% de la capacité des spectateurs. Visiter une cérémonie d'ouverture qui était très très belle, chaleureuse, qui a montré toutes les beautés de l'Afrique et nous fait voir et espérer qu'on puisse revenir vraiment à la normalité grâce au football. N'oublions pas que le football, c'est beaucoup plus qu'un jeu, c'est de l'espoir, c'est du sourire, c'est des valeurs, et c'est important de garder la flamme du football toujours allumée, et c'est ce qui s'est passé ici au Cameroun. C'est pour ça que je voulais être là, c'est tout un symbole d'être ici au début de l'année et pouvoir être témoin du premier match international de l'année dans un pays qui a écrit l'histoire du football, certaines des plus belles pages de l'histoire du football mondial. Donc je suis fier et content d'avoir pu partager ce moment avec tout le peuple du Cameroun. N'oublions pas que le Cameroun, c'est un pays important dans le monde du football. Quand il y a quelque chose qui se passe au Cameroun et dans le football camerounais, le monde regarde. Pas seulement la FIFA, mais le monde. Et c'est pour ça qu'on doit prouver au monde.
You give President Biya a nice-shirted outfit, and you said that this is not Messi, this is where transfer. If we had to transfer President Biya to Chelsea or from, how much is it going to cost to FIFA or the transfer season?
I told him that his transfer will probably bankrupt FIFA. So. Top scorer, President Biya. No, we had a very good meeting with President Biya, and he is now part officially of the FIFA team.
Absolutely.